Hey YouTube, how you going? Welcome to another video. We are going to continue on with our application. So we just I think make some progress. As mentioned, with separating out the functionality to allow for better testing. I know it requires some level of duplication of code in certain instances, but if we look to our Redis new user functionality, we got those tests to pass pretty much straight away. The only ones that we're having trouble with are with the scheduler, and that's largely because there's some time delay, and we didn't really refactor that code. So when then as I've thought about this logically of what code to refactor next, I was originally thinking of going to our login functionality, but I remember we have this toggle MFA functionality. Now the interesting thing is if we search for this functionality, we've also got a toggle MFA in our service, but this functionality is not being utilized anywhere. So I think what's happened is we've deleted it along the way. The other thing is that we are generating the MFA token, but we use this token in our login service. So if I copy this, for example, you'll see our login service. So we're using it here. Actually, we're not using generate tokens. So yeah, I think there's some functionality in this MFA service that's actually not being utilized. So what I want to do is I want to do two things. I want this piece of functionality solely to be for toggling MFA on or off, and then if there's a need to generate and send an MFA token, we're actually going to move that into our login functionality. So what we're going to do to start with is we are going to what are we going to do? We are probably going to define a route first. If you think about this, so yeah, let's actually we need to, before we do that, we need to rename this folder. So what's a logical, we are going to call this manage user MFA, or manage user MFA settings, toggle user MFA. Manage user MFA. So we can rename that, and then we're going to call this rename. This is going to be manage user MFA controller, and then this is going to be manage user MFA service, and then we will need a manage user MFA routes. And then in here we're gonna const express equals require. I don't see, you can't see it. I can see it. That's what I'm not happy with. Double brackets, okay. Sorry, double quotes. And then we're gonna need our controller, so const manage user MFA equals require manage user MFA controller. We don't have any validation chains. We don't validate any of the requests. We do need to bring in, like if we compare here, we do need to bring in authenticate, because these should be authenticated routes. Yeah, and then what else do we need? That's it. So const router equals express dot router, and then we are going to have a put request data dot put, I think, and we are going to call this toggle manage toggle MFA, and this is going to require authenticate, and then it's going to call manage user MFA dot, and we call it toggle MFA. We're going to change this actually, toggle MFA. Pretty doesn't like this. All that, and then yeah, module exports equals router. Save that. Okay, so now go to our controller. We are going to change this to be toggle user MFA setting. Update this. And then we are going to request.user.id toggle MFA. So what are we not using here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to the top so that we know that we're using this. Save that. Some of this stuff is going to get moved in a minute. I'm going to get rid of that. Alright, so toggle user MFA setting. We don't need logger. Oh, hang on, exports dot. And then yeah, we've got to export this too. And that way what we can do is we can get rid of it from here. Leave the other ones for now. Alright, so yep. Toggle. I'm going to change MFA service is now going to be called manage user MFA service. And I think toggle user MFA. I know it's duplicating the word, but it's kind of like my OCD. I like things to be very clearly defined. Alright, so from this we are getting our user ID off the request. So we're getting that from the token that we pass in. If no user.mfa equal enable. If we look at the user model, MFA enabled should equal true. Hang on. No, because no, enables the field, so enable user.mfa enable. Does that come out as true? Yes, I think so. We'll double check that. Double guessing myself. Alright, so then what are we doing here? We generate the MFA secret. Wait, user.save. Okay. So we need our user to log in. It should work. Cool. And then we're going to need a new request. Actually, sorry, before we do that, in our routes, we need to bring in const manage user MFA routes. Manage user MFA routes equals so one components manage user MFA routes. Save that, and then we will copy this. Oops. Slash MFA manage user routes. Okay, so then it will be here. Go MFA slash toggle MFA. Then in the headers we need authorization, and then this needs to be bearer with our token. And in the body we need to pass in some JSON, and this should be enable and set to true. Send. Route not found. Let's put manage user MFA service toggle wasn't a spelling mistake there. What do we manage user MFA service, manage user MFA.service, toggle user MFA setting. I think it's because it's not here in this export. Let's do, for consistency's sake. Okay. Yeah, so enable does just default to the Boolean response if true or false. So we can get rid of that. So if no user, user not found, that's fine. Generates that. Okay, so the functionality below is not used for managing user MFA settings. Alright, so that functionality works. So what we'll do now is put or a patch request best for that. Explain the difference between a put and patch request. When is one better than the other? Yeah, we shouldn't be using a put. Okay, we got the two mixed up. In a while, patch. So we need to change this to patch. Because it basically replaces the entire resource. So I don't know if that user's information exists anymore. Anyway, save as. So we are going to come here. We will do a new folder and we will call this manage user MFA. Right. Yep. Great. And then we will call this toggle user MFA true / false. Actually, I did just notice here. How did settings? Let's just go to one that doesn't have anything. Add a description. So, where are we? Oh my god. I just got Claude to write these before. I was just playing around with just a very simple explanation of functionality. Where it is? Then if you go udocs, where is that? Okay. Sorry. Make that call. Still playing around with like documentation and what we should put where. I don't know, that could work later. Anyway, that's beside the point for now. So we've got our patch request to toggle MFA on and off, which is fantastic. And now what we need to do is split out our login functionality. But very quickly, we might just do a commit. Oh, sorry, git. Right. Should create tests first. Wonder what happened if cast error. So where does it pick that up? Let's ask how should we handle an error like this with our existing error? Okay. So if we go to thanks, please. No, I won't use. I just realized I've had my address. Fucking hell. It's annoying. I need to remember that I need to blur out my address. Anyway, describe. Please describe what a cast error is. Cast error occurs when Mongoose is unable to convert value to the expected date type. So that's what a cast error is. I have come across them before, I just forgotten what they were. So in our error middleware, where is it? Currently, else if I'm going to say this is our current error. Just thinking. Yeah, please only. Not reformatting, refactoring. Anyway. Okay. So just add in this. Change this to an else if. Save that. Okay, now if we go to Postman, Mongoose is not defined. All right. It didn't work because this threw a 500, not a 400. Yeah, it's meant to be 400. Okay, so that didn't work. Okay, so if we go to so go back, and we're just going to add this. This is what we get. Mongoose validation error. The cast error is nested inside a validation error. I don't think it should be. It should. Oh my god, see, I told you. Where does, so MFA validation chain. Okay, MFA. And we feed our message element. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to create a separate validation chain. So we will go manage user MFA validation chains. .js. Oh, anyway, rename dot. Just for consistency's sake. oh, copy, paste, save. Now, unlike what Claude says, we're going to bring that into our routes. So, close some of these, similar to what we do in register new user. So we've got our validation chains. So const manage user MFA validation chains equals require. And then all we have to do is we put it before or after authenticate. I think before. Manage user MFA dot body. I think that's what we had. I don't know, toggle. Save that. Okay, and then in our controller, we don't need to make the change because we've done it in our route, and then in our service, so type of validation. So we do this first. If enable is not Boolean, when will that ever fire though? Because this will fire first. Okay, let's just try it. Yeah, enable must be a Boolean value. So actually this did fire, not the validation chains. Let's just comment out this for a sec. Send validation chains, toggle MFA validation, routes. Why is that? Let's check another one. So exists. That's bad. Success was true, even though how have I done this wrong? Oh, hang on. So in routes. Yeah, so this should be no. How many messages have I got? None. We will ask ChatGPT. This is my manage user MFA validation chains. Why? Silly. We don't have validate request. Simple error. Just gonna check. Authenticate comes first. I don't know if it makes a difference, but let's just do that. Alright. So now send. Okay. Now we get our issues. So then if we go back to our service, we untoggle this and unhide that. Enable must be a Boolean value. So if we have this, and this is enable with a capital, it doesn't ever fire, which we know. Great, so that works. Great, I have fixed that and it works. Given we check for the Boolean value in our validation chains, why would we then check our services file? Is there any logical reason to do this, or is it just duplication? Yeah, so we'd only do that if we bypass the route. So we're not going to be doing that, so we're going to get rid of that. All right, so unfortunately, we've run out of messages. But what we're up to doing is we will get Claude to write the tests for this functionality. It should be fairly straightforward. And then after we've done that, we're going to move these generate and send tokens out into our login functionality. We've got our routes, we've got our control, we've got our services, we've got the validation chains. We don't have any utils that we need. We don't have any schedules, we don't have any emails associated with that. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. All right, well, yeah, I'm out of chat messages, and also I need to be up tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. to go to work thing. Just close that. Kids buying games. So look, we'll wrap it there. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below on what functionality we should add next, because I'm kind of getting towards, once we've refactored the login, we need to fix up our internal users, probably add a bit more functionality to profile, and then I think we're kind of done. So yeah, catch you next one. Okay, back another day. We can continue on with our functionality. Might be a new video, might be appended. Basically, we ran out of messages in Claude before, and yeah, it was late the other night, so a couple of days later, and we'll continue with this functionality. So what we've got still to do is we've got our manage user MFA functionality, and some of this we're going to shift out of this and put into our login user. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, what we've found with AI is that really making sure all of the code around one particular use case, for example with this registered new user functionality, is contained in one file as much as possible, one folder, even if it reduces the reusability of your code and requires some level of duplication. It is better from a testing point of view. So what we've done is we updated our manage user MFA capability, and now basically the functionality that we want within this folder is essentially allowing the user to toggle on or off the MFA functionality. So what we can do is we're going to come over to Claude, and we are going to update some of the files that we've got here. So if we can find what the previous file was called, if we haven't already deleted it. Login MFA, so MFA service, MFA controller, not internal MFA. That's for a different user type, which if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know about. So we're going to delete those, and then we're going to add in the updated files that we've done. So what we did was we created our route, services, and a separate validation chains. Now, within the services functionality, there is some that we're not using. As I said, we're going to pull that out separately. So if we open this as an example, we had some is this? Okay, it's not there. It is. If we go, it is in that chat, but let's go down to here. Yeah. So what we were basically doing before is if we do tests and we provide Claude with an example of what it should show, it helps us write the tests better. So we're going to go toggle MFA tests, and if we use Postman, what we can do is we can enable this. So we've got in our headers, we've got the bearer token, so we know what user we're referring to. And if we just change this to enable true and send this, invalid authentication. Let's just log back in. update our token. I know you can automate this in Postman. We've got to do that at some point. It is still the same token. Send. True. Okay, no. Maybe it had changed. Alright, so what we're going to do is come over here and say, not that bit, yep. So in our, we have, so from that, so I can refer to the files, functionality in the following files: manage user mfa.controller.js, manage user mfa.routes.js, and manage user mfa.service.js, and manage user mfa.validation chains.js. When we call this route, we provide the JWT token to authenticate the user, and then in the request body provide this to toggle MFA on. If we do this, we get the following response. Then we'll say if we false, if we toggle false, we get this response. Then in our validation chains, we check that the body meets these requirements. For example, if the request is not a boolean like this, so then let's just do something like that, send, so like this, we get an error response like this. Alright, and then we're going to say what I want you, hang on, where's this? I'm going to say for our jest test, we want to check the success, message, and errors object, and status code. We do not want to test for stack, path, or error type, as these are only shown in development. And then we'll say, please only test the functionality associated with the / toggle MFA functionality associated controllers, service, and validation chains. I do not test other services not called, such as generate tokens. What's another one? Generate MFA token, or send MFA email. Right, copy this. Oh. Come over to Claude. Paste that in there. Looks good. Send that. One, yes, two, let's see. trying to get it to throw the error where there's yes, for example, when it is an empty string, we get this error. When it's null, when it is a null value, we get this error. And then so actually when it is null value or a number, we get this error. 3, user not found. Let's try, so if we go to here, we change this 4 to a 3, and go body and enable this to true, send. So we would, the only time we'd never find the user, so we have this functionality where we're checking for user ID, but the only time we'd never not have a user is if the bearer token is incorrect, in which case it throws this token error. So I'm going to say 3, the only time the user wouldn't be found is if the bearer token is incorrect. So we should just test that, i.e. if the token is invalid, we get this error. Please view our other test files. You will see we call our existing services wherever possible. We should not mock services wherever possible. The test environment also uses Mongo. What's it called? I always forget what it's called. Mongo. Mongo memory server, rather than a separate test database. 5, no need to mock logger calls. I think that should do. So while it's doing that, we'll bring this over here, put that there. We'll call this manage user MFA .tests test.js. All right. Cool. Come on, what are these pretty errors? All right. So bringing that model. Yep. Creating our test user. Okay. So we can come over here now, and we can go components, manage user MFA / manage user MFA.test.js. Run that and hope for a positive outcome. Sorry if you can hear some noise in the background. Someone's like mowing their lawn. All right, 2 failed. So should reject, missing enable. Interesting. So if we go here and we try and hang on, header, this needs to be the correct token. So 4 body send yeah, so we say for so actually errors. This we should just be able to fix this. So the error should be plus enable boolean. What was the other one that failed? Should reject number for enable. Should reject number for enable. So enable 1. So enable. So do that. Ah. Why does that work? Interesting. So if you set it to 0 or 1, it's picking up as true or false. Okay. Interesting. So in our service, so in this, I have this service. Where are we going? Thanks, that's great. I do notice in our service where we pass in enable, it also works if enable is set to either 0 or 1, where 0 is false and 1 is true. I don't know if this is okay, man. It seems a bit weird. Is this okay, or should we force it to really just be either true or false? Interesting. MFA validation. So we go to our validation chains. It wants us to put copy, save. Just want to check one other thing. Okay, we're doing that too. I'm just wondering about throwing custom error type, but we'll do that in a second. Okay. Oh, where am I going? I'm all over the place. All right, so we change that. Then our tests are going to need to change. Add these tests. So I just want to check though, if we send this now as this. See here, it must be a strict boolean of true or false. So in our tests, where it was previously this, all of them now. Yeah. Need to copy and god damn it. Okay, and then where we had in our other test, so you should reject. Okay, we don't have that yet, so number. So we need to change this to a bigger number, and then we're going to test separately these use cases. I'm going to stick these in here. Now I think there might still be some failures because of the message configuration, but let's just see. Failed. put these in the input validation describe block. My bad. Where's the input val? Okay, yeah. Ah. Why did that not like that? Yeah, I had it all. Copy it, paste, save. Okay. We should get one failure, at least. Just got to fix up that other message. Okay, and then this one, yeah, so should reject null value for enable. So it's because we've got our quotation mark. And then if we run this, still one fail. Should reject empty string for enable. So if you go here, okay, just doesn't have that second message. So right. Woohoo! They all passed. Okay, fantastic. Now, in here, what I wanted to look at before we finish this functionality is error times. So here, great, that worked. Here, we throw an error, a new error, but we also have a custom error types. Would it be? Validation error. So if we go here, this in, and then change this to this, run our tests, validation error. To these tests, where are we? Nope. Yeah, and then also then in here, no, not that one. Where are we? Validation chains. No, validation chains. So we should probably do the same here. But let me just think about this for a sec. Error types. So if we run, let's go back to running those tests for a sec. So register new user / register new user dot test. Validation. So we should reject when an email is not string. throw email must be a string. So let's just try, where are we? Throw new. So if we change this to validation error, we put the validation error in. Email must be a string, save. They will pass, fantastic. So what we will do is we will just quickly bring this over here, and then we will look at all of these validation type errors. So email validation test, email must be a string, email is required, so we just need to go through and change, actually just this part, that's a validation error, that's a validation error. I think that all, yeah, I mean this is our validation chains file, so all these are going to be validation errors, I think. Yep. So we just change all of these. This is domain validation. So or is unauthorized error. Passwords do not match. Validation failed. No, it's still a validation error. So validation error. Resend verification. User ID is required. Invalid user ID format. Validation failure. Save that. Okay, that'll work. I'm just gonna thanks, that works. In another test file, do user registration.test.js. When I run the tests, I get this message. So if we go to test setup, let's just bring this over here. What's different? So before all, after all, mongoose stop connection. We already had this as our test file, test setup file. Move before all and after all. I don't know if that's the case. So for each, before all. No, I don't think that's correct. Where are we? Manage user. We don't connect. We don't set up a connection in each individual test file. It's getting confused. I'm not going to waste time and effort. If we run that test just to show you what's happening, if you didn't see it before, and then we'll finish up. So they all pass, and then Jess did not accept one test after the test run completed. So we have to fix that up later. It doesn't stop the test from running. Not a big issue at this point in time. But Claude's Claude seems to forget that we're handling the setup here in this setup.js file, and then it's telling us to set it up in individual files and going back and forth and getting confused. So we'll ignore that for now. What we'll do just very quickly is we'll commit this. So git add, git commit -m, added, toggle MFA tests, and updated register new user validation chains to use custom error types file. Alrighty, stop the video there and we'll move on to whatever it is we're going to do next.